Hey, Daniel, welcome to the EcomCrew podcast.
Hey, Mike, and hey, listeners. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Since we're both podcast recorders or artists or providers, whatever you want to call us, we're probably both used to technical difficulties every now and then. And our first take, Riverside, crashed on us. So hopefully we'll get through it here on the second take. But it's always awesome to get a fellow podcaster or content creator on the show because they're used to being on podcasts and they just kind of make good guests. And I was lucky enough to be on your show, the Ecom Show. We just recorded last week. I'm sure your episode will be out soon. And now you're over here on EcomCrew. And we're both in the trenches in e-commerce. And I think today you wanted to talk primarily about email marketing and retention marketing, which are, well, email marketing specifically is one of my favorite things because we do a lot with email. So it should be a fun talk.
Yeah, amazing. So first of all, it was great to record the podcast episode last week with you in the Ecom Show. Nowadays, we are close to 200 episodes, so we are still far from you. We are far from 500 episodes, but we are getting there. And it's been an amazing journey. I think podcasting is great. And actually, I really recommend this not only to agencies, because B2B guys, I think they are more used to it, but I recommend this to e-commerce owners, founders as well, because I think not many brands do it and brand owners, and that's something to start. And regarding retention marketing, email marketing, so I've been doing this for almost 6 years actually. And back then I started as a copywriter, sales and email copywriter with some small gigs on Upwork. And by today, this whole thing became an agency. And actually now we are almost 30 people from more than 10 countries, mostly serving the US and Canadian market. So that's where we are today. And I think you mentioned email marketing. That's still the core of our services, but we came up with this fancy term, retention marketing. And why we did, because I think nowadays this, this whole game about increasing the lifetime value of customers, reducing their churn, seeing them coming back and buy again and again, it's much more than it was 5-6 years ago when it was, it was about setting up an abandoned cart flow. Many companies, they didn't even have an abandoned cart flow 5-6 years ago. Nowadays, it's more sophisticated. Email marketing, SMS marketing, push, even physical mail, postcards. We use customer data platforms such as Nordbeam or Triple Whale. So now the whole thing is just more sophisticated. But actually, I like it because this is for the hardcore players, I would say. So it's a different game nowadays, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What isn't different though is that email continues to work. It kind of baffles me. If I did make a prediction years ago, I'm not sure if I ever did this officially or not on record, but it would have been that email marketing was going to die. It seems like it's just completely full of spam and useless crap, and you sign up for something and it's just not very valuable a lot of times. And, I personally just hate email, like in my personal life, or business life, because I spend, even with a tool like Superhuman, which filters out most of the spam and crap, there's still quite a bit that gets through. Most of it, I'm just doing my shortcuts to block the people to never have to hear their follow-up emails or any of the other crap. But I think as a consumer, if you think about people that are out there buying, they're still using email, and they're probably not so annoyed by it. And it's interesting to me because we've continued to do email all through this, even though we thought that it would slow down or kind of go away or sunset or something else would take it over. But the reality is that email marketing has been the one constant through the last 7+ years of us doing e-commerce, where Facebook has kind of come and gone, or TikTok has made an emergence, or Google shopping at one point was kind of like the big rage, or Amazon this or that or the other, whatever it might be. Things kind of come and go, but email is just kind of keeps on ticking along.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised by this fact, even as an email marketer. And also, I'm a bit afraid, why this is the case. I feel like maybe I don't understand people 100%. They still
Right.
use email, because I talk to so many people, and not only business people, but even my mom, let's say. So I talk to every different kind of people, and everyone tells me I hate email and I hate using it. And when I take a look at the Klaviyo dashboard or Drip dashboard, whatever tool you use, 20, 30, 40% from email. And that's crazy. So it still works, even if people don't like it. And it's still here. It's been here for probably 40 years. It was even here in the 90s. I know some guys used it back then. So yeah,
I had an email address in the 90s. I remember that. It was the good old days, I guess. Yeah.
And when I started my journey around 2016, I remember after 2 years, around 2018, messenger chatbots, they really, it became a thing. And I also thought that this is the next big thing and email will die. And everyone thought that. And somehow messenger chatbots disappeared in like 2-3 years. I know the reasons. There are different reasons. Also, people just didn't like it. Just didn't convert as well. Regulations by Facebook, all of that. But it just disappeared, and email is still here. Now there are other channels, SMS, you still use direct mail, but email is still the main thing for customer retention and lifetime value. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I find it fascinating. And I think the big difference between a consumer and a business owner, as soon as you're a business owner, there's tools out there now, and there have been for quite a while, that help identify potential businesses in your space. Basically, it's cold lead gen. And so I just have to imagine that my mother's email box probably has 5 emails a day at the most in there. Most of the things are probably things that she signed up for. She's probably getting very little unsolicited email, and it's probably a joy to her. And the things that she does get, she probably wants to get, versus you or me. I mean, 85, 90% of what comes into my inbox is just stuff of like, hey, if I can only have 5 minutes of your time, or I'd love to book a meeting with you, or I'm going to send you a virtual cup of coffee, or, they're talking about our company in some way that doesn't even make sense, as they did like zero research, and you're just playing whack-a-mole all day long. I wake up every morning, and the first 30 to 60 minutes that I spend is not answering my email box, but just cleaning it up, like just getting it to a point where I can then spend the next hour actually trying to get through it. And again, I just try to put myself in the consumer's shoe, where, as you were saying, if you look at Klaviyo or you look at Drip, the open rates are still incredibly high. The percentage of business that you get from email is still incredibly high. And if you can put out a high quality email product, whatever that might be, whether it's a newsletter or just staying in touch with your customers, and not every email is about your new product or something that's going on sale today or whatever. If it's something that's actually helpful, people still want to engage with it and read it. And we see this happening every single day because we send out email every single day. So I don't know. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. And that being said, I just saw a report by MailChimp a few weeks ago, and the open rates, they've been decreasing. So every year it's a lower and lower number, but it's not a significant decrease. Like every year it's maybe 0.5%, or in e-commerce it's somewhere around 15% now. The average, not just for e-commerce, but across all industries, probably 20 few percent, 22, 23. But the thing is, who cares about the average? I like this mind. If you are in sports, maybe you can, you like this mindset. But who cares? Like, you don't want to be an average guy, right? I mean, that's not why you start a business, most people. So, and if you do email marketing well and you follow the right principles, then you can get those 50, even 60% open rates and high click rates, because that's a more important number, actually. So, yeah, I think, it's still a channel where you can excel and you can drive those crazy numbers with emails. And the other thing is...
please go ahead.
So,
go ahead, please.
You mentioned the sales email. So that's something very interesting, because we usually start with, let's say we have a client, e-commerce client, we usually start out with 50-50. So half of the emails are promotional, half of the emails, they are more content, trust building emails. We try to engage the audience. and after we try to sell. But we usually start out with 50-50 and then we iterate. And with the good brands, what we can see, that ratio changes to 20-80. So 20% promotions, 80% content, showing people positive reviews. So it builds trust, building community and all of that. And after a while, content emails, they generate even more revenue than sales emails in many cases. So that's just something interesting.
That's always been what we've seen as well. I mean, we're somewhere in that 80-20 or 90-10 range in terms of 80 or 90% of what we send out is informational or helpful in some way. And as you were just kind of alluding to, it's kind of funny because those emails actually outperform the something's on sale email. I think people see the subject of something's on sale and probably don't open it as much, or they're being sold to all day long. But if you can give them some tip or trick or information or something about your community, it depends on what you're selling. I mean, or what your business is about. I mean, obviously for EcomCrew, our emails are very different than for our physical product businesses. But, if I always love talking about color because it was so easy to do marketing. I mean, we would send community photos of all the people that were submitting what they were doing with our products. We would send tips and tricks. We would do a time lapse or, just sending people something that wasn't trying to necessarily sell anybody anything, but they see those videos or that content and want to imagine themselves doing something similar, and so they go buy the product. Same thing happens with EcomCrew. I mean, we're sending out information about what's happening in Amazon today, or email marketing, or whatever it might be, or something that we're doing in our lives, and then the tendency is at some point that people are going to form a relationship with you, and then eventually purchase one of your products or services. It works so much better than just coming right out of the gate saying, "Hey, we launched a new product and it's 50% off today. Like, come buy it now. Limited supplies." I mean, people, aren't going to fall for this. I mean, I'm on Norwegian Cruise Line's list. I hope that someone from there is listening because it cracks me the hell up. And I haven't unsubscribed yet because I'm still waiting to see when they're going to actually change this. But they have the same email that goes out basically every week, and it's a series of emails of. It's 50% off. We're set sale. I mean, they always have clever subject lines, but it's literally the same thing. 3, 2, 1, last day, and then it's extended by a day, and then the following week it's the same promotion all over again. And at some point, if you're on their list, they just look so stupid because it's never the last day, and it's always the same promotion. And they never put any content in there other than come sign up or come get on our cruise for 50% off, which isn't really 50% off, obviously. They just use these numbers to, and it's so bad. It's embarrassingly bad. And I think that's the exact opposite of how you want to market versus what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Recently I got connected with a few really big brands, and I'm talking about billion, that's 10 figure, I think. And, I talked to them and I pitch them email marketing. Yeah, I try to help them because I could see the same. There is I won't mention any name, but let's say a big fashion brand. And I'm subscribed to their emails and I follow them. I can see what they do. And they simply just rejected me that it's not their, I don't even remember the word they use. It's not their political interest or something like that. So, there are different things in a big company than just conversion. But I think that's a good thing for us, for SMBs.
100%. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's still, and the thing is that the trend's heading that way too. So, I mean, it's good for small businesses. The trend is that a lot of people would rather buy from these types of companies these days rather than, a big net multinational conglomerate, billion-dollar company. And so using email to kind of further that conversation, build that relationship with somebody, get more personal with them. It's going to really work in your favor rather than just trying to be the big, cold, unpersonalized billion-dollar company, because that's what ends up happening. I mean, even the small company that ends up growing, unfortunately, all end up falling in that same boat, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it's really, this is how a small business can break out good email marketing, because it's such a good feeling, and of course it's good for your finances as well when people they open your emails and they read it. And I do the same with a few brands as well, by the way. So I really know the feeling when you literally wait for the email because you know it comes every Friday or every Wednesday, and then you read it. You really dedicate 10 minutes to read it, and you check the blog, you check the new YouTube video. So yeah, that's just great. And especially nowadays when people, their attention is all over the place. The whole internet is TikTokified. I like this word. And nowadays email is still a safe place where you can talk to your customers, which is very rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you're talking about like looking forward to an email. I mean, I just recently signed up to a newsletter, email newsletter about AI. And I look forward to that email. Basically, it comes out every day. But because it's such a fast-paced world right now with that, it's just fun to catch up and get the Reader's Digest version of what's happened today or this week or whatever it might be in the world of AI. And they're not trying to sell anything. It's just actually a email newsletter. So they make their money off of having sponsorships in the email, and they call that out. They do a good job of making sure that that's not like hidden or not disclosed. But they're probably getting a pretty penny now for having some new AI tool or service in the email as a sponsorship. And so, but it's something that I look forward to reading. And so if you can do something like that in your industry, it can really help build a following because, I think of these guys every day now, and I expect it's kind of like when there was the trend of Wordle, and I would wake up every morning and had that was kind of how I had my morning coffee, was playing a game of Wordle. I've kind of like lost interest in that now, but now it's this AI newsletter that I kind of look at first thing in the morning, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. I'm curious, what brands, e-commerce brands do you follow, if you follow any? I mean, their emails.
Yeah, not as much as I used to. There was a time when, back when we had Colorado and we were doing more with email for e-commerce. We don't do it as much anymore. We certainly still send out emails, but I feel like we're kind of just checking the box now because of the types of products that we sell. So there's a few emails that I am on, but I honestly don't see anyone doing a great job with it, which makes me sad.
Interesting.
What about yourself?
We have a weekly newsletter, and for a long time, I picked 2 emails every week, and I shared it with our audience, with our subscribers, and I really said a few good words or bad words, why they are great emails or not. And I just gave it to one of our great copywriters. Now she does it, and she does a great job with it. And we try to educate the audience. It's very hard to find good ones. I could name more bad ones, but I won't.
Yeah. I won't pick on anybody else besides Norwegian. They have great cruises, but their email marketing is an F.
Yeah, I will pick one if you also pick one. I would pick Victoria's Secret. It's terrible, They have a lot of offers in one email, and it just doesn't make sense. So I get lost. It's so complicated offers, like 5 in one email, and then they try to tier the discount, like between $50 and $100 it's 10% off, between 100 and 200 it's 20% off, blah blah blah, and then they have 5 like this in one email. So yeah, it's just not a good job.
Interesting. They probably ride on the back of all their other marketing and feel like they don't have to try as hard, which is really just a fallacy, because I think that's amazing about email marketing, which I guess is just a natural transition into the retention stuff that you want to talk about as well. But it is really expensive to acquire a customer. If you think about how much Victoria's Secret spends to acquire a customer from all their television ads and radio ads and sponsorships and hiring models and all these other things that they do, it's got to cost over $100 for them to acquire a Victoria's Secret customer. And they obviously can afford to spend that much because a woman that really enjoys their products are going to buy a lot of garments over the course of their lifetime or decades or however long they're a customer for. And so they can afford to make that back, on the back end. But if they could do even better with that, with email, or anybody out there that's listening, it's such a much cheaper way to get that second sale. I mean, it's basically free. I mean, obviously you do have to pay for the email platform, but I mean, that was the thing that really made Color It work for us. I mean, the math only worked because of repeat purchases. I mean, our cost to acquire a customer was effectively what it cost, the profit that we had on the first sale. We would basically push it to about a break even. As we got bigger and got more confident, we would be willing to lose a little money on that first order. But all the rest of it was having a good product, which I think Victoria's Secret does. My wife continues to buy their stuff, so that must be more than just the marketing. It must be a decent product. But I mean, we would get all of the other sales on sending out email. It's like, again, once they're on the list, they made that first purchase, they're getting inserted into a community. They're seeing other people that are in that community use these products and becoming better colorists themselves, and using the product more and more. As they use the product more, they got to buy more, and it really just snowballed in itself. And it wouldn't have been possible without email. And so it does surprise me that even a company as sophisticated as Victoria's Secret is can't seem to quite figure that out.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned the time to the second purchase. That's something really important. I think not many companies, they measure it properly. The time between the first and second order, and then second and third order. And if you can halve that time, then you will be the LTV 60 days, LTV 90 days. These numbers will jump up, and you will be much more profitable much sooner. So
absolutely, yeah,
something crucial. I would mention Chubbies, though, as a company doing a great job. If you don't know Chubbies, they sell shorts, and a very boring product, I think, but they do a great job to make it fun. They have a very light-hearted tone of voice and a lot of joking, and they have a very solid community. I met them in Boston a few years ago. And Movement, which is a watch company, I think nowadays they do a less good job. They changed their designer. I talked to the previous designer. They did a great job, and they really sold. They had crazy sales from email with those very designy emails, which is hard to do, I think. Great design in an email.
And they're definitely like another one of these companies that is a good illustration of they have to get repeat business, right? Because I mean, they, at least here in the US, they're spending tons of money on television. I see them like everywhere. I don't know how they possibly make any money on, in terms of acquisition cost to profit from first sale. But if they have a great product and they come out with new designs all the time, it's affordable. It's like the type of watch you can afford to have a second, third, 10th one of them in your drawer if you're a fashion type person. And the cost of 10 of their watches is still less than a designer watch. And so if you can get people hooked, then you can make the money through email on the back end. Another great example of this, and the type of company that makes a lot of sense to try to build, I think, in like 2023 and beyond, because just having single transaction products, I think, is getting more and more difficult to make a business like that work.
Yeah, I agree. And besides email, let's talk a bit about SMS marketing, because especially in the US, we can see crazy numbers on SMS marketing. It's interesting. We tried it in Europe. The ROI is much worse, I would say. So it's US for sure. It has its renaissance there, and it's more like an ad, because you have to spend for each text message, but it's very cheap in the US. And when somebody starts out with the first, SMS flows, then it's very common that you have a 30-40x ROI with an abandoned cart flow. And then once you start sending out campaigns, you make it more sophisticated, your ROI goes down, but overall you make more money. So SMS is something very interesting, and I think it's not hard to understand and set it up. You can make it very similar to your email, just make it shorter, and it's text-based. It works very well with scarcity, urgency, because everyone reads it on their phone. I have only 3 hours to buy this product. Okay, let's rush to the store. So if you use this psychology, scarcity, urgency, it can work very well. And not just in e-commerce, by the way, but in B2B as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of the new Facebook Messenger, kind of, if you will, because it's very difficult to ignore. I mean, that was what made Facebook Messenger so powerful. And we had built, color it again, built that basically that entire business off of free plus shipping offers and Facebook Messenger bots, because bots worked so well in 2018. I mean, they were until again Facebook kind of shut them down and changed things. But it's hard to miss that ding, that noise that Facebook Messenger makes when you get that message. And there was a time when marketers had access without restriction to your Facebook Messenger inbox, and obviously you had to get people to sign up and opt in or whatever. But once they did that, there were really no restrictions, and I mean, we were careful with it. I didn't want to over message people because I felt like the chances of them being annoyed or opting out were much higher. But the messages that we did send, oh my God, did they work really well? And you see this in e-commerce with SMS now as well. Man, those text messages are really hard to ignore. I mean, it makes a noise, it blows up your phone, you see it light up. You don't get a lot of SMS spam. And so for me, as a consumer, just an owner or whatever, I'm getting one or two of these a month at the most. Because I don't really sign up for a lot of SMS lists, but the ones I do get, man, again, I'm at a minimum, I'm reading every one of them. I might not take action or buy from it, but I'm seeing every single one of those where if it ends up in my inbox, it's probably 1 in 100 that I'm going to see it. And if I was a consumer, probably more like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20, whatever your open rate is. So yeah, I mean, I think SMS, now who knows what happens here moving forward? Do marketers push the envelope too much and piss people off and cause regulation and kind of ruin it for everybody else? I mean, who knows what will happen moving forward? But for right now, it seems like a pretty good bet to be investing in that and at least building that list.
Yeah, I just read a report about Shopify Plus stores, and 80% of them, they don't use SMS. So still there is a huge potential. And by the way, 20% doesn't even use email, or maybe they use Shopify email. I think that's why, because it showed that 80% use Klaviyo, MailChimp, the Drip, all of these. 20% they don't, or they use Shopify email, I think. But it's still something interesting. Same with loyalty programs. 80% they don't have loyalty programs. I think that's also an opportunity to set up a loyalty program, a well-planned loyalty program. So unlike SMS, because SMS is it's easy to set up and you will see the ROI pretty fast. I think loyalty program is the opposite. So you need a solid strategy there, and promote it everywhere, and make it very like an omni-channel experience. But once you have it, you can generate 5-10% of your total revenue from a loyalty program. So yeah, what's your opinion on loyalty? Do you use it or not much?
We did with Color, and it worked quite well. I'm a huge fan of this. If you have the right types of products, or you need something that's consumable, or people are buying a lot of it, maybe supplements would be great. Coloring books were obviously awesome. You think about fashion is another good one. Things that people are buying on the repeat cycle. Something that hopefully the loyalty program keeps them buying from you and not your competitors. You need to set up in a way where it doesn't just erode your margin just for the sake of giving up stuff. So people are buying anyway. You got to be careful about exactly how you position it. But there's a reason why some of the most successful companies in the world are using loyalty programs, and industries in particular have really gravitated towards them. You think about airlines or casinos and things of this nature, movie theaters. They've all set up these loyalty programs, and now it's extended to things like fast food chains and other things like that. It's just any opportunity to get someone to be thinking, I'm gonna go to Burger King today, but like, man, I got that free soda at McDonald's or whatever they might be doing. I for the record, never eat at fast food restaurants. I have no idea what their loyalty programs actually are. That's just my vision of how it actually works. But certainly it works for me on airlines. There's times where I will connect through some city to fly a particular airline because I want the miles on that airline and trying to get status. Same thing with the hotel. I'll stay in a slightly less convenient location or pay a little bit more money to be at the hotel that I have loyalty with, that gives me my free bottle of water and free internet, or whatever stupid little perks I get that are really not that important, but it really does play with your mind, and gets you thinking at the time that you're about to make that purchase to potentially make a different decision. And so, even if it is only 5 or 10% of customers that are willing to do that, but every little bit helps. It's, as you were saying, you don't want to be average, right? And so like the company that's really excelling is doing all these things, and it's the little tiny things that add up to be huge. It's not, very rarely is it one thing that they're doing that makes them explode and huge. It's usually that they're doing a very good job with email marketing and SMS and package design and influence marketing and Facebook ads and Google ads and whatever it might be. And they have a loyalty program, and they're doing SEO, and it's like they're hitting on all cylinders, where one person is probably all in on one channel, and the day that TikTok gets shut down, they're screwed and out of business. And that's typically how a lot of things end up happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. And the highest performers, they, as you said, they play on all of these channels and they try to do their best. Talking about the fast food chains, I have a friend who always check the Burger King app if he has something free or free soda, whatever, or cheaper burger, and he's crazy about it. So there are these people, I think, these kind of window shoppers who are crazy about these offers. And actually,
you should
I have
come with a free doctor's appointment to get your cholesterol checked after eating all that.
yeah. I have my favorite tea place, and I have the same. So after 10 tea, I get a free tea, and I really like it. That's a good offer.
And it keeps you going back there, right? I mean, it's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks obviously does this incredibly well. I was actually reading an article the other day about how Starbucks is basically a bank now, because that loyalty program has deposited over $10 billion for them. Everyone has their Starbucks card on their app or on their phone, like I do, and I usually keep the balance somewhere between $25 and $50. You think about the millions of people that have done that. It's all to get those little stars, so I get a free cup of coffee on my birthday or whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but they're making tons of money on the float of all those people who deposit little amounts of money. And so these things, again, have made some of the biggest companies in the world a much bigger success. And not everyone listening is going to have a need for have it make sense in any way to set up a loyalty program. It just, again, it really depends on the types of products you have. But if you have the right types of products, you probably are aware of that, and it's probably worth your time to go get one of these apps you can add on to the from the Shopify App Store and do this. It's $25-$50 a month to get started. It's not a huge amount of money, and it really works. I mean, we had a lot of people that would clamor over the things that we would do for loyalty with Color It, and we would even do exclusive stuff for people in the program, so like it kind of forced them into it and wanted them to earn the points to get these exclusive things that we had put out. Obviously, we had the ability to do that. Again, not every product can do that. We don't bother with this with ice wraps because people don't care about buying more ice packs. So it just really depends on what the brand is.
And imagine how much it can lift the valuation of Starbucks. That I think you said $10 billion.
Yeah.
In the loyalty program, and if you multiply it, then that's a big thing.
I mean, just the interest on the float from that, especially with interest rates going up, is a very significant number. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I think the major thing what I can see why companies they fail with their loyalty program, they don't put enough effort into promoting it. So like I can see so many loyalty programs, and there are some points you can collect the points, but I can hear this from the customers too, from my friends too. Like, I can collect points. Who care about points? And they don't know what they get for their points. And you should really promote this, and you should be smart about your offers. And also, what I can see from big brands like Nike and what they do very well. So once you have your points, so you can get those points not just for your purchase, but or social media engagement, but different activities that are related to the consumption. For example, running. So if you run 5K or 10 miles, whatever, then you get, I don't know how many points. But, if you run, then you will need shoes, and you will buy the shoes from Nike. So that's just one example, but you can reward the action. And I think that's very creative. And also, people are competitive. That's another factor. So they can compete who ran more and who got more points. So that's just another layer. So you can be very creative, and I think you can learn from big brands because some of them, they do it very well, their loyalty programs.
Cool, man. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. We're already a couple minutes over here. Plus, we had that tech issue to start with. So before we wrap up, what's a good way for people if they want to just follow your stuff more, or maybe hire your agency or any of those types of things? What's the best way for people to reach out to you and find you?
Sure. So our podcast is called the Ecom Show. You can find it on the major podcasting platforms. And the name of my company is Budai Media. Our website is thebudaimedia.com. And I'm there, and you can find me, and we can talk if we can help your e-commerce business grow.
Awesome. And that's Budai. And we'll put a link to that down in the show notes as well. An Ecom Show over on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Daniel, thank you so much for coming and doing this to me. It was a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, everyone.